Hello everyone, Becky Edwards here, Purpose Driven Motherhood. Happy Mother's Day to all of you women who are already mothers or will be mothers at some point. Happy Mother's Day to you. So today is I'm excited for my turn to share my favorite takeaways from Mothers Who Know by Julie Beck and Fathers by Elder Todd Christofferson. And I really love both of these talks, but I want to say from the beginning that if you have not had the chance to be married yet or to become a parent yet, I hope that you understand you will, if you are righteous, you will get that chance at some point in this life or in the next. And I hope you also understand you can still be a mother figure, still be a father figure for those around you, even if you haven't had your turn and your chance to be a parent yet. So these talks are still applicable to all of us. Okay, so one of my favorite things about Julie Beck's talk is the very first paragraph where she talks about these beautiful stripling warriors. And I wanted to, it reminded me of an experience I had. I was serving as a Relief Society president when, during part of Julie B. Beck's time as a General Relief Society president. And I remember being in a training in the Tabernacle at Temple Square when her presidents, they were giving a general training. And I remember her having us look up Alma 57, verses 25 and 21. And here's what she said. In 25, it says, "There was not one soul of them who did perish, and neither was there one soul among them who had not received many wounds." And she's like, why? Why? All these other parts of their army lost people. What was the key here? Why did they have such an amazing, extraordinary outcome in this war? And then in verse 21, here's the answer. They did obey and observe to perform every word of command with exactness. And she said, how did they learn to obey with exactness? And at the end of that verse is the answer. Their mothers had taught them. From their mothers obeying with exactness. Because we all know that example is the strongest teacher ever, right? Have you heard the quote that's saying, your actions speak louder than your words, or, that kind of idea. So here's what I wrote in my margins. Why were all the stripling warriors spared? Because they obeyed with exactness. In the days ahead, we need a rising generation who obey the Lord's command with exactness. Where will they learn this? From their mothers who obey God with exactness. Wow, so powerful. And that to me, just it summarizes the whole theme of this talk, which is there's tremendous power and influence in mothering in our own family or mothering elsewhere. We as nurturers, our example, our nurturing, our teaching has tremendous power and influence, just as it did as mothers of the stripling warriors. It's beautiful, and it's a tremendous opportunity. Today, maybe many of you experienced the same thing. At our church, we had our little primary children stand up by the podium, and they sang a little medley of Mother's Day songs. And one song, they changed the wording a little bit, and it stunned me, and it brought tears to my eyes. And it said, "We are as the armies of Helaman. We have been taught by our moms." And wow, I've never heard it sung that way before, and it was absolutely beautiful. And it's true. We moms are here to teach the rising generation how to be God's army. We are to prepare them. How does she say it here in, in paragraph 9, that our goal is to prepare a rising generation of children who take the gospel to the whole world, and to prepare future fathers and mothers who will build the Lord's kingdom for the next 50 years. That is a tremendous vision. As you know, vision is a really big deal. There's a scripture, I don't know where it is, that says, without vision, the people perish. Something like that. And I've heard this little story of 3 different men, it's like a little parable, of 3 different men who were stone cutters. And a person came along and asked the first man, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I'm cutting stone." And then the second man said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm cutting stone to help build this building." And then the third man said, I am helping to build a house of God where people can go and make covenants with God and have their families still together forever. And look at the vision. They were all doing the same action, but one had very low vision. One had a mediocre vision, and one had a really high vision. We get to choose our own vision of what we are as a parent, as a mother or a father. I hope you are encouraging yourself and building your own vision with talks like this, with prayer journaling, with digging into the scriptures, and helping you gain a testimony of your power and influence as a mother or as a father. Let's see here. Another takeaway is in paragraph 6. I love this paragraph. Mothers who know are nurturers. When I taught seminary, and we would always talk about the family proclamation, here and there, we brought it up throughout the school year. And I would always ask them the 3 P's that are the roles of fathers, and then the one word that is the role of mothers. And of course, fathers are to preside, provide, and protect, right? Mothers are to nurture. That is their big word, nurture. Then I would ask these teenagers, what does that involve? What does nurturing involve? And we would just make this big long list, and they realized, wow, that's a lot bigger word than I realized. Nurturing is a big deal, and it is. So Julie Beck gives a few words for nurturing: creating a climate of spiritual and temporal growth, homemaking, let's see, teach and model qualities that children should emulate, creating a house of order. She says that growth happens best in a house of order, and you know what, I agree with her. I used to be a professional organizer. I do teach classes on getting organized and other topics too. And I agree. I don't know about you, but for me, if there is order in my environment, it's easy for me to have order in my mind and in my heart. But if there's clutter in my environment, it's easy for my mind and my heart to feel cluttered. So there's something to that. And it's easier to feel a spirit, and it's easier to feel personal revelation. So I want to give you one little tip that I have given many other people, and it's just a tiny little tip that can make a big difference. So let me get it. So the tip is for when the house is messy and you just feel like, oh, I want to get this place cleaned up. If you have kids and family members who are old enough and willing, then I invite you to set a timer for maybe 10 minutes and just say, okay, everybody, let's all put as many things away as we can in the next 10 minutes. And setting a timer kind of makes a game out of it and makes it fun. And another side of that is you can ask them to put their own things away, and that if they don't, by the time the timer dings, then you can make what I have, which is an earn back box. You can tell mine has some stuff in it right now. It has a couple books, some shoes, some socks. Anyway, that's how it works at my house, that if it's time to put things away, and my kids don't, then I typically set a timer and say, I'm going to get the earn back box out. And then if they don't put it away and it ends up in the box, they have to do a chore to earn that back. It's just a simple way to get the family involved so that you can have a clean, orderly environment. It doesn't have to be perfect. When you have children who live in your house will probably never be perfect. My house is never perfect either. But order does help us feel the Spirit, and it helps us grow. It helps us progress. So that's just a little tip that I wanted to share with you. Let's see. Okay, I want to share a really interesting experience I had with this talk. So Julie Beck gave this talk 10 years ago. She gave it in October, almost 10, October of 2007. I remember watching this division of some people reacting in a really low, kind of almost dark reaction, and some people responding in a really high, light-filled way. So when she talked about homemakers in this paragraph 6, Latter-day Saint women should be the best homemakers in the world, and we should, work together as families. And what else did she say about? She said something else about the best in the world. Let's see. Oh, at the very end of the talk. The Latter-day Saint women should be the very best in the world at upholding, nurturing, and protecting families. So I don't know exactly which phrases were so triggering to some women, but I'm guessing those were some. And what I noticed is that some of the women's lib sites out there just started bashing Julie Beck, which I did not appreciate because I love her. I love Julie Beck. She was a wonderful leader and a wonderful example of saying truth no matter what the world thinks and says. On the other hand, I remember being in a testimony meeting, I think the very next week after this conference, and a gal who, in my ward, who was finishing up her time as being a working mother, and then she was just beginning to open a new chapter of her life as being a full-time mother. We always work, but from working for pay and now being full-time at home. She said, well, that talk about that Julie Beck gave, I have some good things to work on now. She responded so positively, and to me that was such a beautiful example of how Heavenly Father will help us respond when we have the Spirit. And bless their hearts. I don't mean to criticize those women who took this talk to be really hard for them, but when we have the Spirit with us, we can look for, okay, let's build on this. What can I do to improve? Heavenly Father can help me, even if I feel discouraged and I have a lot to work on. Anyway, that was a really cool experience for me, and that contrast was beautiful. I would say my very favorite quote from this whole talk is in the middle of paragraph 6. Home is where women have the most power and influence. The most. I had an experience as a very young mother. I had my second baby, and my husband had just started law school, and I remember just feeling super frumpy. Those of you who are mothers, you probably can relate to this. You don't fit in your normal clothes yet, so you're wearing stretchy clothes, and we were so poor I couldn't go buy cute stretchy clothes. They felt ugly to me. And we'd been doing college for a long time. And I remember, and my baby was fussy, and he spit up a lot, and I remember having spit up on my shoulder, probably both shoulders. And I was at this law school wives club at BYU, and at this meeting, and I stepped out in the hall because my little boy was fussing. He's now 20 years old. My little boy was fussing. And as I was walking this way down the hall, there was a woman who was walking towards me the other way. And I looked up at her, and here I felt so frumpy and pretty discouraged in my life. And I looked at her, and she was there for a moot trial competition, which my husband was as well, elsewhere in the building. And she looked like $1,000,000. She had on what looked like a brand new, beautiful, tailored business suit, high heels, nylons, just so put together, so confident. And as we passed each other in the hall, I had a thought that it was a lie. It was a lie. And the thought was, she is valuable and I am not. Wow. Woo. Our culture teaches that in lots of very subtle ways. Some are very open and some are very subtle. And I love that Julie Beck just pours the truth out like a fire hose in this talk. The truth is, home is where women have the most power and influence. That is truth. I testify that is truth. And if we feel called or if we need to, for financial reasons, to do other things outside the home, we cannot let home become a secondary priority. It's got to remain our first, because no other success can compensate for failure in the home. And if you're a single mother, that Heavenly Father will help you compensate. And I just testify that we all, in fact, myself included, need to work at keeping this as the highest priority. So God and family come first. And if there are other things in our lives, they come after. But God and family have to come first. And I think that's a lot of what Julie is saying here. The last part about that or my last takeaway from this talk is similar to that. How she says, mothers who know do less. And part of that is because we want to make time for those things that matter most in the home. We want to make time to have an orderly home. We want to make time to have teaching happening and connecting and relationships and fun and working together. And how she said home should be a pre-MTC. Isn't that a cool vision? Our home to be a pre-MTC. That's a really high vision for our home. I love that. And so in paragraph 9, she said they allow less media in their homes. So they do less. They permit less of what will not bear good fruit eternally. So we look at this vision of what, or this distinction. Is it eternal or not? If it's eternal, we want to spend more time there. If it's not, we want to spend less time there. So here she says they allow less media, less distraction, less activity that draws their children away from home. Mothers who know are willing to live on less and consume less of the world's goods to spend more time with their children, more time eating together, reading together, working together, talking, laughing, singing, exemplifying. These mothers choose carefully and do not try to choose it all. That is not easy in our day and age. There are so many exciting, fun, beautiful, good, worthy options to do, right? So many sports for our kids to be involved in, so many lessons, music, and all these really fun things for our children, for us, we could be involved from early in the morning till late at night outside the home. And Julie Beck is saying, be careful, be deliberate, be choosy, make sure we, I'm going to use a Elder Oaks word. I think this is from Elder Oaks in his Good, Better, Best talk. We vigorously protect family time. That might be the wrong person, but it's a good quote. Whoever said it, it was good. We should vigorously protect family time because it really is what matters the most. It's the eternal relationships we take with us. It's so, so vital. So in the spirit of this little paragraph here, I created a meme contest. And because it's Mother's Day, and I've already spent quite a bit of time on getting ready for this video, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I apologize. I did promise to do it today, and I'm going to honor my Mother's Day and go be with my family after this, but I will announce the winner tomorrow, and we've had some really fun entries, so that's really, really fun. Okay, now I'm going to share a few takeaways from Elder Christofferson's talk on fathers, which was really good. I really enjoyed this one. I loved how he said in paragraph 1, the highest of masculine roles is husband and father. Wow! So much research shows that if mothers and fathers would simply prioritize their families, so many of the world's problems would just fall away. So much crime, so much teen pregnancy, so much poverty, so many things would fall away as problems. Our culture, our world would be elevated in a lot of different ways. So this is the highest of masculine roles. And that is not believed everywhere, but it is truth. It is truth. Number 3, already talked about that in the last talk. In paragraph 3. Let's see here. What's the next one? I just love this. This really touched my heart. In paragraph 6, where it says, Jesus said, no, greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. And fathers manifest that love as they lay down their lives day by day, laboring in the service and support of their families. Isn't that just beautiful? Doesn't that just make you, if you're a woman, doesn't that just make you want to go hug your husband and say, thank you so much for going to work every single day to provide for our family. I appreciate you. And if you are a husband and your wife is helping to bring in income for the family, I hope you're thanking each other. Whoever is doing that, please thank each other, and vice versa. For those who are raising the children, spending more time doing that, please thank each other for the different roles and the different contributions you make. It's so beautiful. It's so much more fun to serve when you're thanked and when you're appreciated. So a couple other paragraphs that go along with that, with this idea of fathers being providers and how it's such a divine part of their role, is in paragraph 22, where Elder Christofferson says, by the way, that's my 20-year-old son calling me to wish me happy Mother's Day, so when I close this video, I'm going to call him back. He said, breadwinning is a consecrated activity. Breadwinning is a consecrated activity. It is holy. It is sacred. It is divine. And I hope we honor it as that. I hope we honor and spend and save and give that money with that intention, with that context, that whomever in the family is bringing that money in, it's consecrated. That effort is consecrated. So the outgo should be consecrated too. It should be treated with honor and respect as a stewardship from God. I love that. That's just gorgeous, beautiful. And he said, providing for one's family, although it generally requires time away from the family, is not inconsistent with fatherhood. It is the essence of being a good father. Work and family are overlapping domains. I love it. Okay, the next takeaway is paragraphs 7 through about 21, where he talks about teaching. Oh, there's so many good gold nuggets in there. Where in 7, he says, the most essential part of a father's work is to turn the hearts of his children to their Heavenly Father. I remember writing a blog post years ago about mission statements. And I said, you know, Stephen Covey talks about mission statements, and all these gurus of personal development talk about mission statements. And the Book of Mormon people have mission statements. And I kind of listed some of them, and I said, what's your mission statement? And the ones that I pulled out of the Book of Mormon were to bring souls to Christ, to bring souls to Christ, to bring souls to Christ. And here, Elder Christofferson is saying that is our mission statement as a parent, is to bring souls to Christ. I just love it. Let's see here. And in 21, discipline is not so much about punishing, but it is more about helping a loved one along the path of self-mastery. Isn't that cool? Just love that. Love, love, love it. Number five, Elder Christofferson says something about fathers that I think is so profound and so beautiful, and it applies to every good thing we do. Here's the quote. Surely, this is in paragraph 32. Surely, despite our inadequacies, our Heavenly Father will magnify us and cause our simple efforts to bear fruit. Yes, if we are doing what we can, if we are trying, if we're striving, if we're doing our best, we will make mistakes. We will have imperfections. But Heavenly Father appreciates our trying, and He magnifies us, and He has our efforts bear fruit. Isn't that gorgeous? We can pray for that. We can pray that Heavenly Father will magnify our efforts, that He will make us bigger and better and more magnificent in our efforts to serve His children, especially in our family, than we ever could on our own. That's in a beautiful talk from Elder Bednar about the atonement. And I don't remember the name of it right now, but it's about the grace part of the atonement, the enabling power that Christ magnifies us. I love it. Christ is a magnifier. Christ's atonement is a magnifier. We do a little bit, He makes it bigger. He makes it better. I've heard I think it may have been Elder Worthland say, you give a crust, you get back a loaf. Isn't that awesome? You give a crust, you get back a loaf. That's magnifying. Very cool. And the last little part is this beautiful, sweet story of a man who remembers his dad, who had to leave really early in the morning to go off to work. He was a steel worker, and how the boy was on the couch sleeping, and the dad would stand there by him and pray over his son every morning before he left. And how at first that was kind of embarrassing to him, but years later that became like one of his favorite memories of growing up. And paragraph 35, each morning my dad prayed for me, and just gives some details of that. And it reminded me of something that I have done at other times. I have not done it lately, and I want to invite myself and anyone else who wants to experiment with this to try this, to just practice with this. And that is, besides having a family prayer every morning and every night, to consider at least once a week, if not daily or several times a week, to pray with each of your children. And I know many of us do that when our children are tiny, and we're tucking them into bed, and we're teaching them how to pray when they're 3 and 4 and 5. But when they're older, older children and then teenagers, we don't tend to tuck in our kids at night or our teens at night. We don't tend to pray with them by their bedside at night. But reading this reminded me of times when I have had little phases where I have done that. I have gone into my teenagers' bedrooms at night and prayed next to them. And sometimes they pray and sometimes I pray. Most of the time they just ask me to pray. And it gives me this wonderful opportunity to just gush in my gratitude and praise and compliments about my child and how much I love this child, and to ask Heavenly Father to help this child with things that matter a lot to them. And if they're struggling with something, I ask for Heavenly Father to send the Holy Ghost and angels to help and help me to know if there's anything I can do to support. And it just gives me this opportunity to bond. It's like we have these cords between our hearts that just they just fill up with light and love and yumminess when we pray together. as a mother and a child, or a father and a child. And I invite you, that is my invitation from this video. I invite you to do that once this week. Find a day where you can pray, or maybe you want to say, well, I have a number of children. Monday is child number 1, Tuesday is child number 2. That works too. Just find somehow, practice this week praying next to your children at night, one by one. Not just as a family, which is really big deal, and it's a commandment, and we should do that. But I'm saying take it to the next level and just see what happens to your heart with that child. It's a very special experience. Okay, thank you for letting me share. Okay, I'm ready to announce the next article. This is a different kind. It is not a talk by a general authority. It is a gathering of quotes from about one of my very favorite topics ever, and that is personal revelation. So it is the why, how, and what of personal revelation, quotes assembled and commentary by Becky Edwards of Purpose-Driven Motherhood. So, of course, this doesn't have a watchable version because it's a whole bunch of quotes and then my commentary in between. And I hope you love it. I have loved compiling this. It was originally 3 different blog posts, and I compiled it, and I've been editing and adding a few things here and there. And I love. In fact, the very first paragraph includes one of my favorite quotes ever, which is by Julie B. Beck, which is the ability to qualify for, receive, and act on personal revelation is the single most important skill that can be acquired in this life. And you know what? I agree with her. I agree that that is truth. If we want to get really good at one skill, let it be this one. Let it be personal revelation. There are so many amazing blessings from getting good at this. And you can ask Heavenly Father to coach you on this. Help me know how thou speaks to me. Please teach me. Help me get better at this. Please make your promptings loud and clear. Please help me quiet down my life as much as I can. Leave the radio off in the car. Leave the TV off. Have my phone away from me. All these techie things help me not be distracted. Help me create as much peace and quiet as I can in my life so that I can listen better. Help me remember to stay on my knees after my prayer and just let those answers flow. Help me write in my prayer journal. Whatever it takes, you can ask to be tutored by the Lord to become better at personal revelation. I have done that, and it's life-changing. It's amazing. Okay, so I hope you all you women out there, whether you're a mother yet or not, I hope you have a fantastic Mother's Day and enjoy this next article. Love to hear your comments on that one or the previous ones. Feel free to just hashtag whatever number you are doing. This is article number 6, so we're halfway through our 12 weeks, if you can believe that. And have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.